Well, good evening or good afternoon, everyone. I actually see lots of wonderful news regarding the sunshine, the coming summer. So we are no longer hoping for the spring. We feel summer somewhere in the air. That is wonderful. That really is. And at the same time, I really can see how wide our geography is. That is absolutely great. So, how are you, my dearest colleagues? How has life been the previous week? And are there any, I don't know, wonderful, exciting news for us to share and to hear? I have an announcement to make that the next week is going to be the week devoted to English at Foxford because, first of all, you know that tomorrow Elizabeth II, the Queen, celebrates her real birthday, though her official royal birthday is going to be celebrated in June, as it usually happens in Britain. I suppose it was after Victoria's birthday, Queen Victoria's birthday, that it was decided to celebrate royal birthdays on the third or fourth week of June, just for the sake of better weather. Because lots of events are going to be held outside, so let's all kings and queens be honored in June. And the second date, which falls on the following week, is, shall I say, officially established birthday of William Shakespeare. That is why my colleagues and I have prepared a couple of things related to that. On Monday, we are opening with pronunciation class for the kids generally. Uh, on Thursday, there's going to be a class devoted to Shakespeare and theater. And also, my colleagues prepared absolutely fascinating tests on phonics and phonetics and culture. So, it has to be in your newsletter, and I hope you will join us. So, you or your students will join us in celebrating this week, starting actually tomorrow. Oh, wow. Okay. And that's amazing news. A heap of congratulations on you and a round of applause. Well done. Great. Really proud of you. Wonderful. Okay. Anything else? I shared my news. You shared yours. Aha. Oh, wow, Yelena, that's another wonderful one. I'm overwhelmed. So cool. And well, actually, if you give us a link, there is a great likelihood that we would follow it and have a look at it. So amazing, amazing, absolutely well done, colleagues. That's great work. Really, that is. And you deserve it, both becoming a official interlocutor of Pearson Test and also having your article printed. That's wonderful. So, my dearest, you remember that we are going on with our Avseras. We've got this thing and we really want to find out more about that. Aha, okay. Yeah, I'm opening that for me as well. Ah, yes, absolutely. That's another news, Helena, and thank you for mentioning that because it is going to some extent, it is going to change the way we are working. And definitely, I wanted to ask you, how do you feel Is it rather giving our children more opportunities, or in fact you feel that it's going to be harder for us to reach the required level with two languages? How do you personally feel? Or maybe you have already thought about that and you already have some ideas just for yourself personally as a teacher of a foreign language. What can be or has to be done in our teaching practice to ensure that languages do not interfere with one another? At the same time, such things happen, and rather facilitate the process than slow it down. Because that is highly optimistic piece of news, and it is actually bringing the whole level of education to the next level. However, some students are frightened. Yes, exactly, and some teachers are frightened as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for me, depends on the child. Okay, and can you enlarge on that a bit? Because it does. It really does. However, at the same time, you remember that OGE is listed to become a mandatory subject next year in English, I mean. And what is more, there is a totally different, okay, not totally different, there is a different format of perspective exam published right now on FIPI сайт. ОГЭ. На данный момент ОГЭ, и я надеюсь, что вы видели перспективный вариант экзамена. Да, официально он будет еще аж до 21 декабря обсуждаться. Он отличается от того формата, который ребята будут сдавать в этом году. И хороший вопрос на самом деле, в какую сторону. На мой личный взгляд, он стал проще, но с другой стороны, на данный момент, то, как там сделано аудирование, тяжело подобрать материалы для тренировки. Потому что, с одной стороны, он очень сильно начал напоминать более свободный экзамен и какие-то вещи первого, как задание первого уровня в IELTS, но с другой стороны тематика совершенно другая. И на международные экзамены немножко как бы не похож. Я имею в виду на PET, PET, на тот же самый, да, вот упомянутый Pearson Test of English. И там у меня, например, возникает вопрос, как успеть с этого уровня, с уровня ОГЭ, если как он сейчас есть, вернее, как он предполагается, что будет, как успеть за 2 года выйти чуть дальше на ЕГЭ при, например, базовых часах. Так что это вот это интересный будет вопрос, интересный челлендж для нас всех. Параллельно, да, с появлением второго языка, и поэтому вот тоже такой актуальный вопрос. I mean that apt students who are naturally born linguists will benefit, and for those who aren't, then it will be really tough. Okay, it will be much easier to acquire a better level if it is German. Or, by the way, if it is French. Because despite the fact that it is seemingly different, English is still very much like both German and French. So depending on whether we will be able to draw similarities both in methodology and in between the languages themselves. So knowing which language a child would have to acquire or would be choosing uh, may really change their attitude in primary school towards certain methods applied during acquisition of their first foreign language. In my opinion, the second language shouldn't be obligatory. Only motivated students have good results. Mm-hmm. Okay. So right now it doesn't seem to be that good of an idea because in fact it may be tricky to draw the bridges from one language to another, especially if a student as such is not particularly motivated. Yes, in German we can at least avoid reading difficulties. Mm-hmm. Yes. However, whatever language you take out of European ones, we are not going to avoid grammar difficulties because they are constructed. They didn't have the benefit of 300 years mix of languages, which was present on the British Isles. Thus, the English dropped genders and cases. So, so right now it doesn't seem to be the most promising idea, but not the speaking ones. True. There is a lack of teachers. Yes, there is a severe lack of teachers, and thus, in fact, this may first of all result in bigger loads on those teachers who have double qualification in the languages. So a lot to be thinking about, really. And as soon as it is finally confirmed, I suppose that we may need a couple of webinars or seminars regarding that for the teachers of the second language. That's why we have German and French right now. I mean methodology and approach. Well, thank you, colleagues, for your opinion. I really appreciate it. So, we are having a look at and from the point of view of speaking, groups of 16, 20 people are too big. Um, Generally, I would agree with you. At the same time, mm, it depends on the allowed approach. I will try to explain it later because our final class of this course is devoted to working with groups and really big groups. However, yes, in general, a group of 16, even if divided, may not simply give an ample opportunity for everybody to have their voice. Irina, I know. At the same time, I can say that if we are talking about Foxford and online, you may have a group of 150, which seemingly makes practicing speaking impossible. However, that's not exactly the case. So we will talk about that. We will talk about all sorts of group activities, which first of all may ensure participation, and secondly, is not going to be too overwhelming for the teachers. Yeah. It greatly depends on children behavior during class, a lesson. What you can do with one class, you can't successfully do with another. And also, it depends on physical organization and layout of the room. Uh, Previous lesson, I mentioned that we are going to have a short course on discussions, And that is exactly what I was going to discuss with you. How, I mean, placing the students, physically placing the students, uh, influences their social dynamics. How you may want to place them if you want them to interact only with you. If you want inside of the group interaction, the physical layout of the room may have to be different. And yes, I know that you are limited in that as well. However, it may be a point worth considering and discussing with you and your colleagues, because just psychologically, one, if we are talking about those 2 or 3 rows and people facing the backs of each other, all keeping their eyes on board a teacher, it creates more of a confrontation and requires more energy to hold the group. While just breaking this pattern and rearranging them in different ways breaks this trend. And in some classes, it may be crucial, especially if we are talking about children uh, from year 5 to year 8 of school, when they are probably the most notoriously active. So, and what else really helps with such classes is bringing in new challenges in patterns of putting the tables. Because you definitely know the thing that when everybody gets settled down, they acquire certain routine, and unless you put the structure and the rules, kind of impose it on them initially, that is going to be really hard to change it. However, if you feel that with this particular group you need to break the pattern, the first thing to do is to reorganize the classroom physically. It will give you at least one class, 45 minutes, to start almost everything from scratch. Because it works really well with secondary school and, by the way, with the 11th graders. They're pretty flexible and they need this time to get back to their ground. And that's your time. That's when you really can act on it and change the pattern. Yes, it may not depend on the number of students. Nevertheless, dear ladies and gentlemen, we are returning to Sierras and we are going higher. We are going to 7th and 8th classes. And first of all, I would like you to pay attention to the topics of the texts. Because when we were talking about 5 and 6, definitely, yes, it was about Russia. It was about some traditions and customs. However, it wasn't that heavy on dwelling on that. At the next level, you actually have the relatively deep glimpse. Well, glimpse cannot be deep, really. Dig, I would even say, into Russian history. And I mean it because it's about Dmitry Donskoy, it's about Yaroslav Rostov, Tver and Pskov, which were united, and Ivan III. So, which, in fact, on the one hand, we do have this shift and this focus in our approved course books. On the other hand, the vocabulary may not be that familiar, especially in terms of pronunciation of names, of details, and they're going to have some listening on that. So, also it pretty much the same shift towards history of Britain to a certain extent. And that is why I have my next peak of links for you. So let's have a look at what we have got here. So the first one is Fact Monster, Kids Around World. Let's open it, and if you have a look at that, you will see that it's got kind of a fact file. In fact, pretty much about every country in the world. It also has world history and timelines, world statistics and facts, current events, world geography, natural disasters, accident archive. It explores very deeply US history, but also it goes very well into our favorite part of American and English-speaking world curriculum, such as language arts. And grammar and spelling and mythology are the ones that I would say worth having a look at. You may even assign some homework here and explore holidays and calendars with your children. So if you have a look at the same time at the language, it's accessible even by younger kids. At the same time featuring natural collocations and natural names, meaning not translated, but the way things are called in English-speaking reality. So, a funny site, good for projects, good for homework. Hope you will enjoy it. And since it goes quite deep into histories, into history of different countries, it allows you to recycle vocabulary and grammar of such kind continuously. The next one is Kids World Travel Guide. Is another beauty because in fact it explores the country even in a simpler language. So may really be better for 5 and 6 years of our secondary school. Has great pictures and also has wonderful selections of and fun games like trivia fun for kids, geography trivia, science games, Christmas around the world, continent facts, and so on and so forth. So generally that was made for the little ones and with the help of the kids, so just to show the world through their eyes. That's another resource based on countries. Then, as you can easily see, we've got kids, nationalgeographic.com. You pretty much know what to expect from kids and National Geographic as well. The next one is about Science Kid. This one is higher in language. So it's fun science and fun technology. It explores not only geographical features or historical features, but also It explores some economy and some industry projects, like what is a nuclear power station, how it works. So just following the links, mm, it may be worth giving as a project work or as a sort of an extension on some topic. Also features many countries and recycles pretty much the same vocabulary. Uh, so Science Kids looks more suitable for 7 and 8 year of school. Well, it even looks a bit more academic. Aha, okay, Irina, the first one. Yeah, Fact Monster is a kind of, yeah, it's my love, really. It's a kind of like all-time love. A Dizzy is another one. It's the one before last. A Dizzy site. You don't really have to log in there. It's not always like that. You can try it. Yes, in fact, and very unfortunately, it it is usually paid uh, for one unfortunate reason. It's a British site. That is why they give you all the materials for Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 curriculum. Which means that it successfully covers British curriculum from year 5 to from the age of 5 to the age of 14, which is a great bulk of material. So maybe worth exploring with free trial. I have included it here, and at the same time. Maybe really worth if you have a school specializing in English, maybe worth discussing with administration. It's a good one. And finally, you've got Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica. This one is abridged version, so it doesn't feature that variety and level of vocabulary that kind of like adult Britannica features, has got a lot of links and all the material which may be very well used with higher levels of children as well. So just to get them familiar with such type of texts, such type of information, and recycle this vocabulary without, shall I say, actually taking too much time looking for extra information everywhere, because unfortunately that is not something that is easily available in our course books. Aha, okay. To be precise, concerning their pastimes, yes, there was. Yes, what I generally also like about these sites is that they don't hesitate mentioning some trivia, like real life trivia, which we are all very familiar with. However, when we are talking about that and when we are discussing our country history, we don't mention that much. So, it's not that the rules of the game may be exactly may have to be learned by their peers, English-speaking peers. However, just for fun. So, dear colleagues, please tell me which one have you liked? Which one is your favorite? I'm sorry, Adizi didn't open for me. But they don't, never. Kalina, is it about something that we don't mention or about the course books? that we don't really have that variety of texts. However, at the same time, those are also the topics which we are supposed to be preparing our students for if we are talking about Russian national exams. National Geographic. Yeah, National Geographic, nice. So I love it too. It's going to have very bright pictures, by the way, worth describing, and they are free to use. Britannica is extensive. Britannica is an extensive resource for all the students, a lot of links, a lot of interconnected topics. So I'm very much afraid that, Anne, we can lose you. The Kids World Travel Guide. Yeah, good for younger kids, and it's made with the help of the kids. So all of it depends. Okay, yes, I see. Galina, you are still on playing cards, right? I guess your students may enjoy that, and I guess mine will too. That's highly unusual at the same time. This site is useful. Yes. Okay. I also wanted to share some more YouTube channels with you. So, in fact, generally, I gave you the links to some video. However, the whole channel is worth exploring. And it's not only for the levels of 7 and 8 graders, it is also for higher levels as well as for other levels of серос. Because right now we are still looking at школьный этап. Сегодня успеем посмотреть, что меняется на муниципальном этапе, а на регионе и заключительном этапе меняется там уже не так много, но там спикинг появляется. И в следующий раз мы как раз посмотрим на эту историю. So, some YouTube video channels exploring history in general and featuring some short video episodes regarding history of different countries. The first one is about Epic History TV, a relatively simple English. I'm not sure whether I can use good here, but more like styled and culturally appropriate animation, because the producers of these little video clips, they take care of having a look at something that is true and real to the country they're talking about. They have got history of different countries there. The language is going to be more sophisticated than our children will have at ВСЕРОС на школьном этапе. На муниципальном, уже приближается. So, may really be worth practicing. However, with such videos, there are several steps and there are several ways in which you can use them. Because, of course, we can take it language-wise, or we can take it fact-wise. This one is kind of harder, so you have to be absolutely sure that kids understand at least 70% of what is there. Well, it can be either fact-wise or just management-wise and decision-wise. Let's start with language-wise. Definitely the first level for such things, and we are trying to watch everything without subtitles is to predict some words and then either hear them in the text or we will not hear them in the text. Or we already have a list of words. We try to discuss how it may be connected with the video, how it may be connected with the topic, in which context they are going to be used, and then generally listen and try to predict. Oh, and try to check our predictions. So the thing with a list of words or phrases, it's like the first level. There is, frankly speaking, there isn't even the idea of general understanding here. It's more like whether you've heard it or you haven't heard it. And it teaches a significant skill, which is, on the one hand, is a first level skill, on the other hand, is very often ignored in our reality and comes in handy when we are encountering any text which is higher in difficulty level than our current level, or some unpredictable text. Just catch the words and then construct your idea of what's been there basing on the key vocabulary which is used. The second, if we're talking about working with video, the second phase is pretty much the same. So once again, we are going to be dealing with either separate words or with the phrases. And still, it's not so much about understanding. It's actually a gapped text. It looks very much like the second part of listening paper FCE exam. So you've got key points there. Oh, by the way, it looks like IELTS listening. You have got main key points with some vocabulary missing, no more than 2 words. And while the kids go through the video, they have to catch and they have to put the word or the synonym or whatever they have heard, a number of sounds, into the appropriate gap. So we do not, at this level, we don't really change the text of the video too much. However, we take the summary out of it. And by the way, that is going to be the level of listening tasks in our future perspective Russian national exam at the level of 9th grade. Then, after the gap text, of course, the next level is to answer some questions. Some comprehension questions, and in this respect, true or false or multiple choice. Just are about to get it right with the level of difficulty. So we are moving forward, and then actually true, false, not stated, or true, false, not given is another one. That is a different level, together with paraphrase and questions based on synonyms. And then finally, if you want the students to work with this even more, or even or if you want them to acquire the vocabulary and use the vocabulary which was featuring in the video or audio, then definitely we are talking about a summary. A summary can be language-based, so actually out of here, like you give your children a list of 7 or 10 words or phrases, better phrases, which they will have to include into their summary. Or it can be more like an open answer, which is definitely much, much harder. And well, and a reasonable student, sensible student would be trying to base such a summary on the vocabulary from the video. So those are the levels. Why I am actually giving them to you? The thing is that the more difficult or the more unexpected a video is, the lower level exercise has to be given to it. And then you will see an incredible trick, in fact, which is that children stop being scared of fluent English in authentic videos or audios. Because if they generally have, well, not Epic History TV. Epic History TV is relatively easy. We will come in a couple of minutes to the next one. Well, it's not the next, it's actually the fourth, as far as I remember the order. But still, they have either the first or the second level of exercise. They still can do something. And then they can grow on it. However, if your video is not very hard, we generally can go up there. At the same time, if we are talking about Olympiads, generally they base their tasks on levels 4 and 5 of being able to cope with videos at the level of, well, for example, for всерос it is 9, 10, 11 классы. And there used to be a task of summary, what you have heard, what you have done. And there was a task of answering paraphrased questions and also writing the answers in your own words, like an open question. So that is something to expect naturally at the level of Olympiads. That is something that we can start working with generally, and in many cases, even regardless of the level of difficulty of the text. Well, not completely, but it would be absolutely fine to take the text, which is a couple of levels over. Still, 90% of the children will be able to do this. And even this, 70%. Thus, we are in fact breaking the barrier and enabling them to do more. And as we are preparing for Olympiads, that is exactly what we will be dealing with. We will have to put them into the situations of unpredictable language, unpredictable situation. However, at the same time, they will have to be able to cope with it. And they can get used to that. The second approach, actually, good for brain, we were talking a lot about mental development. We were talking quite a lot about reasoning. So, how do you personally feel? If we are talking about the first, or for example, the second channel, Animated History of, Epic History TV and Animated History of, will you see pretty much the same focus and the same coverage of events as in our Russian well-established reality of course books, or you expect something different? Maybe different attitude, maybe different mentioning of cause and effect. I know that I'm very likely right now to lose half of the group at least because you would go watching them. I think they show us in the wrong way. Or at least in a different one, right? So, uh-huh, okay. It's more unpredictable in opinions and facts. So it's flexible, in fact. So, nevertheless, some things are going to be different. Like, really different. I insist on the wrong way. Oh, you know, I may well be wrong. However, I suppose that despite a bulk of literature and a bulk of records, history is the most imaginative subject and the least reliable subject out of all. I'm sorry for saying so. And I'm not sure that there is any like right way. However, at the same time, yes, there may be certain right way to some to suit some purpose.